Hi, welcome to Gunpowder, Fiction and Plot. I'm Scott, and today I'm going to do yet another rap video because I read too many books this month. So this is the third rap video. I know it's ridiculous. The third rap video I have posted. I've done a rap video by myself on the on Jane Austen July, and I've also done a rap video with Nelle on the books that we read together. So I'll link both those videos in the description, and you can check them out. And now I've got 8 more books that I'd like to talk about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in order from worst to best. And the first book I'm going to talk about is A Short History of Scotland by Andrew Lang. I really like Scottish history. I find Scotland one of the most interesting places ever. It's got so much good history. There's this story about these 2 clan chiefs fighting over a castle, and they bring all these armies out to fight each other. And 2 clan chiefs, they take each other aside and they say, look, like thousands of men are going to die today. Let's instead of fighting, let's have a boat race. And they agree. And the guy who lives in the castle, gets in his boat, and the rule of the race is you go up, you go to the island, you go around the island, you come back, and the first person on shore wins. The first person to have any bit of their body touch the land wins. Anyway, they do this boat race, and the guy who lives in the castle is losing the boat race, and he's like, shit, I'm about to lose my home. I'm going to be homeless. What's going to happen? And so he goes to his first mate and goes, give me your sword. And the first mate goes, well, we're going to fight them. He's like, no, just give me your sword. He gets his sword. He cuts his hand off. He grabs his hand. He throws it as hard as he can. It lands on the shore. And when they pull over and they talk at the end, and he's like, well, I got there first. I passed the rules. And the other guy said, shit, you must be a nutter because I'm not fighting anybody mad enough to cut their own hand off. That is a tale I absolutely love from Scottish history. And I was hoping for more tales like that. Instead, I got a lot of Stuarts, a lot of Bruces, and not a lot of actual people. This book was horrible. It was boring. And it was racist towards the Scots. At one point it said, and with that, the English left and took with them their love of soap and their dislike of burning witches. And I thought that was that's a real low blow. Not even a low blow. It's a dumb blow to be like, the English don't burn. I mean, you burnt Joan of Arc. Like, come on. Like, don't. People in glass houses don't throw stones. This was a rubbish book. I listened to it on LibriVox because it was free. It was there, and I wanted an audiobook, and like, maybe I can learn something cool about Scotland. I didn't. Read the Wikipedia page about Scotland instead. There's a history tab. It's great. The next book on my list, so that was my 1-star book. I'm on my 2-star books, and this one might be a little bit more controversial. It is the Guernsey Literature and Potato Peel Society. I was really looking forward to this book, but I just could not get into it. I don't like I didn't enjoy the Episcopal settings of it. I didn't enjoy any of. I didn't enjoy the letters in it. I didn't really care about the characters. I didn't get involved. I probably just read this in a bad mood, and the book suffered. To be honest, I just couldn't get involved in it. Right, now I have a bunch of 3 stars, and I've even put them in order that I liked. So the next one is My Sister the Serial Killer. This is a Nigerian novel about a lady who believes her sister is killing her husband's, partner's, fiancés, boyfriends, whatever, male significant others. And she suspects this when she gets a call from her sister saying that it's happened again. She's killed her partner who tried to hit her. And can you help me dispose of the body? And this is not the first time it has happened. This was a thriller. This is basically what it says on the box. This is nothing revolutionary good. It's not rubbish. If you like the sound of that synopsis, give it a read. If that is something that you wouldn't normally go to, give it a miss. Because it's not going to change your mind on thrillers. So if you like it, go for it. Then I read one of Nelle's favourite books of the year. I read The Empress of Salt and Fortune. And I just didn't feel this book. It's quite a short book, and it took me a few attempts to actually. I think it's only like 120 pages. It's a very short book, and it took me quite a few attempts to read this, and I felt like I should have just been able to dedicate a couple of hours, sit down, read it, have it be read and done, and move on to the next book. And it dragged on. And I felt like it spent quite a lot of those 120 pages setting things up, and I just didn't feel like it really went too far. If Nell was sitting next to me, she'd be telling me I'm wrong now. I didn't think it was a bad book, but I was expecting this to be an awesome book. Awesome it wasn't. I'm not upset that I read it. That's about what I think of it. Then I read Lucky Jim by Kingsley Amis. Sorry if you can hear background noise. My dog is just out scratching everything and making a racket. Kingsley Amis, Lucky Jim. This is a comedy. It is about it's about a guy who is he's trying to become a professor at a university, trying to become a teacher. He is a teacher. He's on like probation. And he has a boss who is an idiot and who does just slapstick weird stuff. The boss has a son who is an ass and bullies him. The boss has a wife who is an ass and bullies him. So he has this bumbling moron who he has to try and impress, and then a wife and a son who hate him and want to hurt him. And then he meets the son's girlfriend and falls for her, and then tries to win the girlfriend, keep his job, and it all falls into a bit of a mess. It's quite Wodehouseian, really, but if it was written by P.G. Wodehouse, it would be better. Still a good book, but it very much reminded me of Wodehouse, and it didn't quite deliver in the way that Wodehouse did. Maybe I just needed to read a few more Amis books to be more familiar with his style. I don't know. Maybe I just like Wodehouse better. I think that's what it is. Again, not a bad book. Quite enjoyed it. Laughed at it quite a few times. Good comedy. If you want to laugh, if you want a nice easy book that'll make you giggle, can't go wrong picking up this one. But it won't be the best book you read of the year either. Then on to my 4-star books. Jeanette Winterson, Oranges Aren't the Only Fruit. This is probably the best known Jeanette Winterson novel out there. It's a semi-autobiographical novel about her life. Jeanette is a young orphan girl who has been adopted by a lady who is a member of the church. And Jeanette wants to become a missionary. And that is, Jeanette, she thinks she's 6 when this book starts, and she ends as a teenager, and she discovers her sexuality, and she's told that that's not part of the church, and then there's a conflict between the church and herself and so on. And it's quite a good book. It is a book that I maybe think might be dated because of, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe this is a really common book, a really common experience, but I definitely view the church as having much more of an influence on society in the 70s than it does now. Maybe if you're in the States, this is probably quite a common experience that people who are homosexual experience. But nonetheless, just because it's a dated experience, we're all humans. We all have the same things. Everybody has beliefs. Everybody has a sexuality, and having those two things collide is interesting, and it's heartbreaking for the poor character here. So this was quite a good book. It took me a little while to get into it. Once I got into it, I ripped through it and really enjoyed it. I laughed at a couple of places. It's quite sad in a couple of places. It's just a good book. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read... Oh, I don't mean now. It sounds like I'm chronological order. The next book I want to talk about is Thomas Hardy, Under the Greenwood Tree. This is an earlier Thomas Hardy, I believe. It certainly feels like an earlier Thomas Hardy. I kept confusing the two characters in this, the two main characters in this. There is Dick and there is Fancy. I kept definitely calling her Fanny, which was partially to do with reading Mansfield Park, partially to do with Dick being the main character. I like Hardy. This is a Hardy novel. I enjoyed this novel. It is Dick's wooing of Fancy having other considerations. I feel like this is actually almost like Thomas Hardy read a Jane Austen book and wanted to do Jane Austen, because it's like discussing marriage and the security that women get from marriage in a novel, like, which is a lot of what all of Austen's books are about, you know, like, it's not about marriage, it's about life for these women, but marriage is such an important part of it. And that's kind of what it's like for Fancy. And she's, you know, does she love Dick? Does she love somebody else? What's going on? And then it's a Hardy book. So it's, you know, how is it going to be not happily ever after? Because, if you want a happy love story, don't read Thomas Hardy. Is basically what I think. If you want if you've read a Thomas Hardy book before, I suspect that you know what you're getting yourself in for. But yeah, he's an incredibly good author. If you haven't read a Thomas Hardy book, there are better Hardy books out there than Under the Greenwood Tree. Nonetheless, I loved Under the Greenwood Tree, and I gave it 4 stars. I should also say, if you're new here, me giving out 5-star ratings is rare. 5-star has to like super impress me, knock my socks off. And I believe that at the end of the year, if you've read 100 books at the end of the year and your average is like 4.2 or something, then you haven't rated right. You should have an average about 3. So that's why I'm a bit mean with my ratings. Then the last book I want to talk about is Akawami Izimi's Freshwater. At the start of the year, I said I wanted to read a book written by a trans author or an intersex author, and I have done that now. This is a really interesting book because of the way the narrator of this book is the demon possessing the main character. So therefore, like, who is actually, do demons exist? Does she have a mental illness? Who is actually the narrator of this book? This is like such an unreliable narrator. And then we're taken through all this trauma that the main character experiences. and how the demon is protecting her and helping her survive. It's so... I feel like this has been marketed as a book about transsexuality. I feel like it should be marketed as a book about mental health, because a lot of what she's describing is a mental health thing, and it's so interesting. And yeah, later on in the book, the main character transitions, but I kind of feel like that was not the major part of this book for me anyway. The major part of this was the horrible abuse that they suffered, and this was quite an incredible book. I read a lot of good books this month, and this one is right up there as a fantastic book. I've put it higher than Thomas Hardy on this list because it really is such a good book. She's got another book out, Pets, which I will have a look at soon as well. Anyway, this is our last wrap for the month of July. The next time we do a wrap, it will be for August. Or maybe not, I don't know. But will be no more wraps for July. So let us know, have you read any of these books? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What was the best book you read during July?
Well, sorry, Editing Scott here. Just wanted to pop in and say that we're nearly at 200 subscribers. So we'd like to do a Q&A. Get your questions. Below there's a community announcement. There'll be an Instagram post. There'll be something. Get your questions in. Ask us anything at all. I mean, it could be like a physics textbook question or something. Like, we could help with your homework. I don't know, anything at all. Just get your questions in, and don't limit yourself to one. Ask whatever you want. Now, back to your usual viewing.
That's all from me. Bye.